Hey everybody, it's Pastor B with the Denver Dream Center. In 2006, God birthed a vision in my family's life to come to Denver, Colorado. My wife and I began to pray, and God opened doors. So we left with a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old. We didn't have a house to live in. We didn't know ultimately what we were going to do, but we came to Denver, Colorado with the passion to bring hope to the hopeless, to help those that were hurting. The first guy I met, I'd been here 2 days, landed in community corrections. I would go down to visit him. And what turned into a relationship began a Bible study. That Bible study then launched into multiple facilities in Denver. One guy became 300 men a month that we serve and work with coming out of incarceration. Shortly after that, I was down in one of the housing projects playing basketball, loved to be on the court, and found out the next day that one of those 14-year-old boys was shot and killed in some gang violence. And so God began to stir this moment of see a need, meet a need, that we have to show up, we have to be present. So we just started being consistent. God, whatever you would allow us to do, we wanted to be there. We began to show up, we began to serve. Our first adopt-a-block, we called it. 9 volunteers showed up. We thought it was the greatest moment ever as we picked up trash in one of the neighborhoods. Now fast forward, and in 2019, we had over 12,000 volunteers. We served 50,000 people. We began to see needs open up, and of course, we've experienced COVID and crazy moments. Food became an issue. We began to serve people through food and resources. And in 2020, in a matter of 6 months, we fed over 300,000 people. We got over 2.5 million pounds of food out, and we did it from a parking lot. All of these things have come together where God has stirred in me a fresh vision, this powerful moment, where Esther had been selected to be the wife of a king. Her uncle Mordecai says, listen, you're in a position that you can't remain silent any longer. But who knows that you were chosen for such a time as this? And we know now that now is the time. We've been feeding out of a parking lot, but we need a building. We connect with hundreds of guys every month that are coming out of incarceration, out of addiction, out of gangs, but there's a lack of a what next moment. We need housing, we need a resource center, we need a family center, we need a gym. We're working with at-risk youth and dealing with gang violence, the needs that are impacting our city. And I know so many, like me, you watch the news, you know what's going on. We're trying to deal with the pandemic, we're trying to feel what's going on. What is our future going to look like? Hope is needed now more than ever before, and now is the time. There's a campus in downtown Denver that was an old Salvation Army facility on 4.5 acres, 6 buildings, almost 100,000 square feet, and we have an opportunity to purchase this facility, create a Dream Center campus that will be operational 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, serving our city, a place where people that are broken can be restored, where addicts can find recovery, where inmates can be restored, where families can come together, and we can do it every day in our city. It's needed more than ever before. We're asking you to partner with us, to be a team player, to pray like crazy, to give sacrificially, and to see what God can do, because now is the time.
My name is Bernard. It's been a long journey to get to this place where I'm at now. A lot of ups and downs. I was sentenced to 46 years altogether after catching new charges in the county jail. Second-degree murder, obstruction of justice, and possession of dangerous contraband. And at my lowest point in prison, I knew for sure that I was gonna die in prison. And I wasn't getting out, and there was no hope. And I remember talking to my case manager in 2014, coming out of solitary confinement, out of my cell, shackled, handcuffed, chains on, and then escorted down to her office, Miss Hardrick, and then chained to a pole because I'm a risk. I'm a high-risk inmate. At this point, I had been in over 20 fights, multiple stabbings, 3 riots at the time. This is my 3rd time to solitary confinement for a total of 6.5 years. So this is the pinnacle of my cycle of violence and not caring about life. So of course I got out of ADSEG. I went back to the yard, do a warden's hearing, but I'm still a gang member. I'm still a drug addict. I'm still worthless, useless, never gonna be nothing, all these labels, murderer, monster, mobster, all these labels I'm living up to, and I was still continuing to live up to it. But that small percentage in me that knew that there was something greater than myself was growing. About 18 months ago, still incarcerated, we had a 3-day revival, and I was tired and I was done. I can't do this lifestyle anymore. And I finally put Jesus first. And life changed. The quality of my life changed. It was night and day. Life was better. Life was the best it has ever been. While sitting in a penitentiary, surrounded by gang members, murderers, drug dealers, drug addicts, my life has been the best that it ever was once I put him first. Life got harder. It's hard to be a gang member. It's hard to have gang ties at the highest levels. And now you don't believe in anything that they're teaching. and you don't believe in their philosophies, because now the only thing that really matters is love and compassion. The same love and compassion that Jesus is. And I often was asked, well, who are you in Christ? And I wouldn't hesitate to tell people, I don't know who I am in Christ, but I know who I am when I'm not in Christ. I'm ugly, worthless, never gonna be nothing, die in prison. That's who I am when I'm not in Christ. So it felt good to say, well, I don't know who I am yet fully in Christ, but I know I'm not that guy who's not in Christ. And I continue to walk forward on that yard. And I started to change my fundamental conclusions, but this time they weren't fleeting. And it wasn't an up and down cycle anymore. It was, the world is good. I don't have to be paranoid and suspicious because they're not out to get me. Nobody's out to get me. I'm the only person who could be in my way. My crime of violence sentence enhancer was dropped so I could put in early. I received some good time and I wasn't being good. And now that I look back at it, I know it's because God wanted me to know that He did this. It wasn't through any of my actions or anything that I did. He did it. And it was a gift. And I felt the responsibility to pay it forward. And then the doors open. Pack it up, you're going home. And a part of me still didn't believe it. Being transported, getting off that last bus. I'll never forget it. When I really knew I was out, and it really sunk in, that's when I gave my addiction to God. That's when I gave all my violent nature and my aggression to Him. And that was it. I'm not taking this back. It's yours. You said you'll take it from me. And I gave it to Him. I came here on a whim, thinking the Dream Center was gonna be a job resource. And within minutes, I knew there was something different about this place. It didn't feel dysfunctional. It felt safe. And I knew within minutes I could be me. And after speaking with Pastor B and taking a leap of faith and doing an internship and now being employed by the Dream Center, all that stuff is nice and it's cool and it sounds good when I speak to people, but that's not the real impact. The real impact is the relationships, the support. Everywhere else where I go throughout my life, when I dream big, they say, slow down, you're moving too fast. You're gonna stumble, you're gonna fall. You can't do that. I come to the Dream Center with these big dreams and these big hopes, and they tell me dream bigger, reach for more. You could do it. We'll do it with you. That's the support and the love and the hope that I feel here. I'm a hope dealer now. I used to sell dope, shoot guns, and hurt people. And now I go out into the streets and spread hope for free. I love, and I am loved. I can move forward with my relationship with Jesus. It's not about how many passages in the Bible I know, how many hours a day I read my Bible. It's not about that. It's about understanding that Jesus is real, and He walks with me every day. He's been walking with me since birth. He's protected me, lifted me up out of darkness. And today I'm in the light. Today I'm alive. And today I know that He is the truth. Without the Dream Center, without Thrive, without these amazing people in my life, I'd still be in prison. I'd be on my way back to prison. And with your gifts moving forward, doors will be open for our brothers and sisters coming behind us. There's nothing in Denver, there's nothing that I've ever seen before like what's going on right here, right now, at the Dream Center. Now is the time.
I'm incredibly excited to tell you about the Thrive Center. When I first moved to Denver, we started getting connected with the needs in our city. The very first guy I actually met had just gotten out of trouble and landed in community corrections. God began to open up this opportunity to serve those that were coming out of Department of Corrections, out of parole, and into the community. The need in America is huge. We have less than 5% of the world's population, but over 25% of the world's incarcerated population. In Colorado alone, pre-COVID, we had over 22,000 that were locked up and incarcerated. Every month, 600 to 900 are being released. The issue is being released to what and where to go. How do they deal with addiction recovery, and how do they deal with family support and the emotional needs, get a job, housing? There are so many factors where recidivism rates are exploding like never before. Now throw in COVID, throw in a pandemic, and throw in what's going on in our cities, and the need is even greater. But here's what's powerful and where we want you to partner with us. God has given us an opportunity to launch into this campus. And in the Thrive Center, immediately we can house over 50 guys directly coming out of incarceration on parole, a diversion program. It'll be a place of second chance, a place of hope. It's going to change so many lives. Matter of fact, I've got two of our guys with me right now that are walking through transition. Danny, who just finished over 20 years, and Bernard, 16 years of incarceration. God has redeemed their life and their story. They'll tell you that hope is real. But Danny, what does this opportunity mean for you?
Man, this opportunity is amazing. Doing 25 years in the penitentiary and coming out here to the world, you're just lost and you're confused. And when you get to come to the Dream Center and the hope of Jesus in you and just living life with the volunteers and walking around and helping people, it's just a point of recovery that you don't get anywhere else.
That's right. And it's tough because it's hard if you don't have a place to parole to. Getting housing is difficult. I mean, Bernard, you're from New York and you've been locked up for 16 years. What does this mean to have a sense of community and a place that you can call home, being the Denver Dream Center?
It means everything. It means the difference between reverting back to my old lifestyle, reverting back to negative ways, going back to the street life and gangs. It means finding support and relationships. It gives me a safe place to continue on my path and my walk with Jesus Christ, and letting that transformation continue to change my life and the people's lives around me.
That's it. And so we want to take a minute. As you're watching this, whether it's the first time or even later, the opportunity is like it's never been before. The Thrive Center is a 2-story building. We'll have residential housing on the second floor with a laundry facility and shower facility. We'll have on the main floor, there's a commercial kitchen, there's a chapel. So we're not just about housing, but we're about ministry. We're about transformation. I want to take just a minute because here's why it's so personal for me. I've been doing this for over 14 years in the city of Denver. I've now connected and worked with over 10,000 men and women coming out of incarceration. And I would love to tell you stories of success and hope, but unfortunately, most of those stories end in failure and oftentimes even worse. And one of the guys I met years ago, almost 11 years ago, his name was Scotty. Scotty became like family, like these guys. And Scotty, who grew up, lost all of his family as a kid, lost everything, and ran when he was 13 and lived on the streets, landed in prison in California after running guns and drugs, and became a white supremacist and majority of his life incarcerated. But at 50 years old, he found hope in Jesus, one of the most powerful life changes I've ever been a part of. Scotty would come in every day and he would talk with me about the transition and where he wanted to get to and what hope was about. Just a couple years ago, we sat in our office and he and I were talking about the future. dreaming about a place that we could have housing, that we could take in men like Scotty, and you're going to be on staff. You're going to be able to be here with us. And he looked across and said, Pastor B, I can't wait. That's my dream. But unfortunately, we didn't have that facility yet. We didn't have that place. Scotty got back in trouble, landed up in jail again in a transition period. And then I found out after a couple of weeks in a holding cell, he ended up taking his own life. And I've got a letter here from Scotty. I've got dozens of letters from Scotty where he talked about what the Dream Center meant to him, how he put his hope in Christ. But we did not have a place to bring him to. And here's our heart. The time is now. We have to take advantage of what's going on. And I know that you're invested in a lot of places and a lot of things, but I'm asking you to help Danny, to help Bernard, the hundreds, if not thousands of guys behind them, transitioning so that we can launch the Thrive Center. Now is the time.
Hey, imagine what the world would be like if there were no smiles, right? It would be awful. Well, we can't imagine that either. This is why at the Dream Center, we do what we do. And what is it that we do? We love people. We bring joy to them. We bring hope to them. We're hope dealers. I mean, we do so much with so little, it would just blow your minds. And so we've got adopt-a-block programs, right? And so what are those? Well, it's where we bring games and fun and basketball and food and clothes into the neighborhoods, the disadvantaged neighborhoods and the isolated neighborhoods in Denver. When sometimes they can't get out, what do? We bring the fun to them and we bring them hope. And you know what? That takes volunteers. That takes people. It takes time. It takes donations. It takes a lot of stuff to reach a world that needs help, right? We also have something that's amazing too, our Dream Closet program, which is where we collect donations, we bring clothes, we bring food, we bring life into people that just have so little. And we try to make life a little bit easier because that's what it's all about, right? How do you love your neighbor without having compassion in action? It's impossible. So at the Dream Center, we're out there bringing it all the time, and seriously, we've done it from parking lots. We've done it from Denny's parking lots, and just, you know, during COVID, when there's been so much isolation, what we're really good at is building bridges, right? We've got amazing public and private partnerships where we're making arrangements with the government, and we're bringing in just this summer we brought in, 2.5 million pounds of free food to feed Denver. I mean, at the Pepsi Center, we had so much lines. We served like 400 to 500, 600 sometimes cars driving through. We have partnerships of people picking up so they can distribute it to the masses as well. Well, this takes a lot, you know, and we are limited by our capacity, you know, and not only that, I can remember Thursday nights going into some of the Denver Housing Authority projects and going into some of the disadvantaged communities and delivering 1,000 meals every Thursday night. It's like, oh my word, where do we put it? Well, look at this warehouse that we're in. We need space. We're limited by our capacity, and we can't do that without you. We need for you to help partner with us financially so we can expand our capacity. We can expand our impact and our influence into a city that needs us the most. Now is the time.
DDC Youth in Sports has been a part of the Dream Center for a long time. It helps our students find life, hope, and purpose in Jesus. We've been able to serve close to 50,000 youth just in the years that we've been here in Denver through programs like Youth Nights. Youth Nights is designed to help students build their relationship with each other, build their relationship with Jesus most of all, and just provide a safe space that they can come to and hang out. Our academy which helps our students with academic support and recovery, teaches them life lessons, leadership principles, and stuff that they can use in their school and out of school. It also prepares them for the future and for their future careers. Our sports programs enable our students to find their passion through sports. We love sports here at the Denver Dream Center. We love playing basketball and football. We want to provide the opportunity for them to come, and it teaches them lessons about life, teamwork, leadership. It provides a positive community and influence, and also serves as violence interruption here in Denver. We've been able to do this while operating out of a very, very small office space. We've been able to do so much with so little, but there is still more to be done.
It isn't just stats. This is my life. When I was a little kid, I never had a father figure or a mother in my life. I grew up with my grandpa, showing me the young ways of life. In school, I've always had a hard time, getting kicked out of class, getting transferred to multiple schools. Not even the worst part. I've had troubles with law enforcement. I've lost friends to gang violence. Having to deal with that, leading me into a deep depression. Around the age of 7 years old, I'm at the Denver Dream Center, giving me a space to feel safe, a space to let out anything that I was having a hard time with, getting me away from all the obstacles and leading me to a new path in my life, a positive path, a path that can lead on to my great future.
Right now, you just finished hearing about Jake, and Jake, we met him when he was 7, and he's been plugged in with us. And actually, a couple weeks ago, he gave his life to God at a park. And it was in the most unexpected ways that you could think of. It was late at night. There was no lights. I had to pull up my car and turn on the lights. Everyone was cold. And I was sitting on the ground thinking, like, God, how can you do something here? Like, what do you want to do? And God showed up, and he gave his life to God. Another student gave his life to God. See, we'll do whatever it takes to be a place where kids can come and find life, hope, and purpose. We want to be a place where they can find safety, when they can find refuge, where youth can dream again.
Now is the time for this to become a youth and sports center. Currently, we serve our youth twice a week, maybe 3 times, but they are looking for answers every single day. We want to be that place that they can come to after school, to play basketball, to get tutoring done, to work on music, to find their passions, and most of all, to encounter Jesus and his love that he has for them. But we can't do this without your help. We need your help for this to transform. Again, we serve 50,000 youth just over the time we've been here in Denver. Now is the time.
At the Denver Dream Center, we love being able to work with our families in the midst of transition. We love it when we are able to find out what their real needs are and be able to be a support system through their whole process. Over the years, we've met many families who are struggling facing eviction notices. Or maybe some of our moms can't find their job because they have nowhere for their kids to be able to go after school. There's so many things that have happened in the past few years where our families are just struggling to be able to make ends meet because it takes time and it takes a lot of different resources to be able to get to where they need to go. We love being that support system. We love to be able to step into that gap and be able to help them get to those meetings or help them get to those processes or fill out those applications or whatever it looks like. But the problem is that so many of our families, especially our single parent homes, when they are trying to find their next home or when they're trying to apply for a job or they're just trying to get their kids stable, it is very hard. And there is a huge issue when it comes to feeling like they're not good enough or feeling like something's not working. And so I have had multiple phone calls in the middle of the night where families are just freaking out. You know, they're scared and they're terrified and they don't know what to do. They don't know if they're good enough. They don't know if they have the strength to be able to keep going through because they're afraid of letting their families down. I've picked up women in the middle of the night and taken them to Denny's because they were losing it and they just needed to be reminded that they can do it and that they're capable of hitting those next steps. We have had so many wins over the past few years where we have watched families receive keys to their next home, their new stable home. We've watched families and moms just be able to receive their dream job because of all the work that they put into it. We've watched kids go into after-school programs, including our academy, so that the moms don't have to worry about where they're going after school. There's so many wins and so many victories over the past few years. But here's the thing, a few weeks ago, we got a phone call from our team that goes down to the streets, and they met a woman who was in the middle of, she was ready to be able to get out of what was a crazy situation. She was homeless, she wasn't safe, she was doing drugs, and she wanted to leave that life. She wanted to say goodbye and she wanted to move on. But the thing is that she said, I'm ready to go. So when the team called, we had to hurry up, get on the phone, and we had to start finding out where is a safe bed for her to be. Where can we put this woman so that she can be stable and safe and off the street so that we can help her with the next steps and help her move along the process? See, the thing is, what if we had a better building to where if that phone call came through, we can say, hey, bring her to the Dream Center, and she can come to our family center, and we'll be able to do an intake process with her with amazing counselors. Her kids can go ahead and be in the next room where there's a computer lab and they can get their schoolwork done. Or maybe they just need to sit down and have a good meal. What if the Dream Center was the all-around answer instead of driving her all around the city to be able to make all of her appointments, trying to figure out when she can get onto the computer so she can fill out her applications? What if we were the answer? What if that was the Denver Dream Center? See, now is the time. That can be the Denver Dream Center. We are capable. We're standing in this amazing building. It's just one of the many that we can have here at the Dream Center. We need your help. The next time that phone rings and the next time that people start asking us, like, what can you do? How can you help? Do you know of a place? Instead of trying to scramble and trying to find a place for everywhere, for people to go, another place, all we have to do is say, come to the Dream Center, we'll take care of it. The Family Center is gonna be a huge resource for people in transition, and we just need your help. Now is the time.
Hey, I am so excited to tell you about the building that I'm standing on in the middle of what we are praying will become the Denver Dream Center campus. You know, everything we do is built on one word, and it's the word hope. Proverbs 13:12 says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. And we know that there's so much going on in our country, around the world, but especially in our city, in Denver, Colorado. And we believe that God has placed us in the middle of this. He's been preparing us for over a decade for this very moment. And I'm standing in the building that we want to call our worship center. Next to me is another building that will be our kids center. But you can see this gorgeous building that we'll be able to build out and start hosting our Thursday night services. We can host conferences. This place will be a place that we can have 24-hour prayer and worship. Amazing things going on. We need you to be praying with us like never before. We know that every person we meet, whether they're in the housing projects, they're on the streets, they're in the correctional facility, or maybe it's with the Denver Police Department in the parking lot all over our city. We want to be that city on a hill, that people can come and they can hear a message of hope, a message of good news, ultimately the message of Jesus. That's what we build everything on. And the second part of that verse, hope deferred makes the heart sick. People are looking for a place to be included, for community to be built. And we see this building being filled with people that are getting prayed for, that are getting loved on, that get to hear a weekly message of hope, that people can come in and they can grab a cup of coffee and build community. But this place for us is that beacon of hope. It's a light into our city where we can pray, where we can be a blessing, and we can serve. Can you imagine being able to come down and bring friends with you. We're going to send out vans. We've got our buses. We're going to bring people in so that they can hear the good news, the gospel of Jesus. We believe in reconciliation. We believe in the message of hope and the good news of what this place is going to be. So we need you to begin to pray with us. We need you to go online. We need you to give and believe that when we fill this place, that the worship team is going to be playing and singing. The screens will be showing the message of good news and the gospel of Jesus. That the men that are in our transition home, that are in the Thrive, they can walk over every day and start with a moment with Jesus together. That we're going to fill this place with youth from all over the city, activities going on, but ultimately the center of everything the Denver Dream Center does is about Jesus. And we can't wait to turn this place into the Denver Dream Center Worship Center and be able to bring people together built on the message of hope and of faith in Jesus to see lives ultimately transformed. We love that we get to feed people. We can't wait to start housing people that are struggling. We're out on the streets and we're rescuing people that are being trafficked and people that are dealing with drug addictions, and there are so many things going on. But this becomes the place that everyone comes together and hears that message of hope. Lives are transformed, our city is transformed, and you get to be a part of that. We need you to step up, we need you to give, we need you to pray, we need you to come down and serve. But listen, now is the time.
This is not how life was supposed to be. An exchange of everything that could have been for the doubt that screams within. Light for darkness, freedom for captivity, peace for violence, hope for despair. It wasn't supposed to be like this. It's like a monster. These neighborhoods, these homes, these dreams run through my heart like streets that lead right back to my despair. Dead end, no hope, no future. What if there was a place that would take me in like family? What if there was a person who loved me for who I could become and not all that I've done? What if hope meant dreams could be restored? Someone's dad or mother, son or daughter, brother or sister is in need of hope. What if hope took over? A place where captivity was taken captive in exchange for freedom and redemption. A place where violence is silenced foundationally until our differences are celebrated, our stories vindicated, and our failures liberated. What is a dream without hope? Now is the time. A place where despair becomes hope, and hope will take over.
Hey, thanks for taking time to watch and listen and learn more about the Denver Dream Center. We really feel that God's called us to this city for this time. In this campus that we're praying over, that we are believing for the opportunity where so many people are pulling back, we don't know what's ahead. Our faith is founded in Jesus, knowing that He has called us to be a part of serving our city and bringing transformation. This isn't an easy task. Since we started the Denver Dream Center, our goal has been to take almost everything that comes in and immediately give it out to serve those that are in need. And what you see in this campus and in this opportunity is still not about the building. It's about people. We want to have the capacity to serve more, to do more, to be a bigger blessing than we've ever been before. But it's not an easy task. This campus is a $10 million ask. We have to raise the money to be able to purchase this. And some of you are thinking, I can't give $10 million. Well, if you can, we'd love to have you. But we know that maybe you can give $10. Maybe you can pray. But some of you can sacrifice with us, and you can invest in this opportunity. Your company, your small group, your church, you family or individual, you can step up and be part of this. Every dollar makes a difference. It really does. And we know that if we can come together, it's what we always say, it's fishes and loaves. I love the story when Jesus is teaching and the multitudes gather. It's overwhelming. But in that very moment, they come to Jesus and they say, hey, we should probably send the people away. They're getting hungry. And Jesus simply says this, you feed them. He put it back on them. The resources are out there. I know it seems bigger than what you can handle, but you can figure it out. And as they look for the opportunity, it's a fishes and loaves moment. They take this happy meal from a young kid, and Jesus blesses it. He begins to break it, and as they're faithful, it begins to go out, and they have leftovers. We're praying for a miracle. We're believing for a breakthrough. The time is now. The opportunity is right now for us to take advantage of an opportunity that God's given us. Our team is excited. We're praying. We are serving into the middle of this capital campaign and looking for a building. We're taking on some of the biggest outreaches that we've ever done to serve our city like we've never served before. We, in the last 6 months, have fed over 300,000 people through our feeding program. We've invested in corrections and adopt-a-blocks. We're giving away everything that we can, and now we're believing God will allow you to partner with us so that we can secure this campus. And it's going to take major investments, a huge opportunity, all of us coming together. $10 million, we can do this. We can buy this campus, and we can watch God go to work and see transformation in our city like never before. Listen, now is the time.